Welcome to another episode. Today we will see the question, what is willpower in the true sense? How can I increase it? What is willpower in the true sense and how can I increase it? Willpower is the ability to resist short term temptations. When there is a short term temptation and you resist it so that you can get something better later on if you wait. That resistance is generally called willpower. So, willpower is the ability to resist short term temptations so that you can achieve your goal. Sometimes, if you give in to your short term temptations, that may hamper your goal. Some amount of willpower is required to achieve your goals because there is always resistance for work, that laziness. They aim to bear the hardships, to jump over the hurdles in your path. That all requires willpower. How to increase the willpower? Set an achievable goal, measurable and achievable goal. Break it into small steps. Monitor and achieve the progress of each steps. Do not deter from the path until the goal is achieved. This is how you can increase the willpower. If the goal is very big and you see only the last step, then you may fail. You may become tired. The small mishaps may deter you from the path. So if the goal is very big, break it into small steps and try to achieve each step at a time. Then you will have a sense of achievement that will propel you towards the next step. And finally, you can reach your final goal. But spirituality takes an entirely different view. This is about the willpower in a common sense. But if you are spiritual, then it is an entirely different view. Because willpower means ego, and strengthening willpower means strengthening the ego. Whereas spirituality means dissolving the ego. The whole willpower is based on ego. I have to achieve, I have to do this. And the whole spirituality means dissolving the ego. We will see that from two of Osho's lectures later on. Strength does not come from physical capacity, it comes from indomitable will. This is told by Mahatma Gandhi. So, strength does not come from physical capacity, it comes from an indomitable will. We rely on willpower to exercise, to diet, save money, quit smoking, stop drinking, overcome procrastination, and ultimately accomplish any of our goals. It impacts every area of life. So, this is from positive psychology. What they are telling, we rely on willpower to exercise because everything is resistance. Any activity is resisted by the mind. So, we require a certain amount of willpower to exercise regularly, to diet, to save money, because you can spend all the money and be happy now, but that will put you in trouble tomorrow. So you have to save money, and that requires some kind of willpower to resist spending, or to quit smoking, stop drinking, overcome procrastination, and to accomplish any goals. It requires willpower. So what is willpower? People use different definitions to describe willpower, but some of the most common synonyms are drive, determination, self-discipline, self-control, self-regulation, and effortful control. At the core of willpower is the ability to resist short-term temptations and desires in order to achieve long-term goals. It is the prevailing source of long-term satisfaction over instant gratification, according to APA, American Psychological Association. Most psychology researchers define willpower as the ability to delay gratification and resist. You can see that again and then again you are seeing only one repetition of one idea. That is, willpower is the ability to delay gratification and resist short-term temptations to meet long-term goals. To meet long-term goals. The capacity to override an unwanted thought, feeling, or impulse. The capacity to override an unwanted thought, feeling, or impulse. The conscious, effortful regulation of the self by the self. So to define it more clearly, it is the capacity to override unwanted thought, feeling, or impulse. The conscious and effortful regulation of the self by the self. We'll see a few lines from Tony Robbins. Your values and decision work in tandem, influencing each other while shaping the course your life takes. Your values and decision work in tandem, influencing each other while shaping the course of your life takes. Understanding what drives your choice. What drives your choice is your first step in learning how to increase willpower. So you should first understand what drives you, what gives you the joy, satisfaction. That is required. That understanding is required to increase your willpower. There is domino effect that starts with your beliefs, the ideas you hold to be true. Your beliefs are shaped by your life experiences, cultures, mentors, education, and faith. Your beliefs are shaped by your life experiences, culture, mentors, education, and faith. These influences create a complex system of belief that inspires your values. These influences create a complex system of belief that inspires your values. What you hold as important, if you grow up poverty with a few resources, it is likely you will come to value stability and autonomy. He tells, if you are a poor person, then you understand the problems of poverty, and then you value having some minimum resources throughout your life, even in your retirement, some kind of stability is required. That will drive you towards that. These will shape your attitudes towards almost everything. You will be less tolerant of peer pressure and lack of drive, since those don't align with your basic desire for security and self-reliance. So Tony Robbins explains by an example. So what drives you, what will drive you is your basic understanding of life. If she had been insecure because you were poor as a child, as growing up, then you will try to achieve some kind of security and self-reliance financially and psychologically. That will drive all your aspects of life. That will motivate you. That will lead you to have more willpower. Similarly, in other areas of life also, you can find out what drives you. That's what he says. Next, we will see willpower and its development by Swami Budhananda. This universe in truth, in the beginning, was nothing at all. There was no heaven, no earth, no atmosphere. This being, that was solely non-being, conceived a wish, may I be. This is from the Vedas. So when there was nothing, it was will, may I be, of that nameless and formless, which created this universe, this world. So there was will. in the material world. Will is a compound of self and mind, says Swami Vivekananda. The one way of keeping grip on the life is right thinking and deep thinking. These days, all admire free thinking. Free thinking is good, but right thinking is better. When right thinking becomes deep thinking, it is excellent. This is what is told by Swami Vivekananda and retold by Swami Budhananda about willpower. So right thinking is required. That's what he says. Then we will see a few lines from Osho, from two of his books, Learning Happiness and Research. He says the will is taking the attitude of he is a spiritualist, so he talks what it means spiritually, willpower. He says will means the ego, will means to fight, existence. Whenever you see somebody fighting upstream, so somebody is swimming upstream, you will say he has a indomitable willpower. But why should you swim upstream, fighting against the flow of the river? If you are flowing along the river, along the existence, then that is good. Willpower means to fight against the current, fight against existence, fight against the flow of life. So he says, Osho says all will is against existence. When there is will, we resist life. We try to do the things which is not nature of the things. Then we are violent with the nature. He says it is madness. And everybody thinks they should have a strong willpower, which means strong ego. Buddha says desires grow from the will. The ego is the will. That is the root of the mind. Your whole mind is centered around the I. The will only enhances it. When this ego is not there, this imagination, projection, dreaming, future is no longer there, then your ego is calmed. There is no sensualism, there is transmigration. Buddha says, when you don't have this, then all sensualism disappears. Then there is no longer greedy senses or requirement of experiences. So Osho says, his whole teaching is to be effortless. When you are doing something, you should not be the doer. Even when there is action, it should be almost non-action. By that he means it should be a spontaneous flowering, not out of willpower, but out of nature. Willpower has been taught to everybody as of great value. Every child is told about willpower and to have willpower. But willpower is against spontaneity. You cannot be at ease, restful. Do you think flowers are to do so much to blossom? Or trees taking bold action to grow? There is no action at all. So he quotes Lao Tzu. Look at the trees, look at the rivers, look at the stars, and you will understand actionless action. Certainly the river is flowing towards the ocean, but you cannot call it action because there is no will forcing it to go towards the ocean. The river flows on its own, finding the easiest paths, and it finally reaches the ocean. Nobody forces it to go toward ocean, and it does not force itself. No hurry, no haste, not even the longing that it should reach. No competition with other rivers, that perhaps they may reach ahead of it. It is simply going, singing and dancing its dance through the mountains, through the valleys, through the plains, not worried whether it reaches the goal or not. It is not worried. It is not a destination for the river. It is not a longing for the river to reach the ocean. It just flows through the mountains, valleys, and plains. It is not worried about the goal. Every moment of the flow is beautiful, precious. And who cares about tomorrow? Willpower is, Osho says, further continues that willpower is used to create a false personality in you. Willpower is another beautiful name for the ugly entity called the ego. He quotes Alfred Adler that his analysis finally came to a simple fact that all man's problems arise out of willpower. He wants to become somebody special, somebody higher than others, somebody holier than others. It does not matter whether he is in the marketplace or the monastery, the struggle is to be on the top. So Osho says, quoting Alfred Adler, that man wants to become somebody special, somebody holier, higher than others. It does not matter whether he is in the marketplace or in the monastery. The struggle is to be on the top. Man wants to be on the top. That is all the problem. So with this we will end this episode on willpower. We have seen both the materialistic view of how to increase our willpower and reach goals, and the spiritual aspect of the harm willpower does. So action as told by Lao Tzu is the way. Stay with me for another episode. Subscribe to my channel and share this video. Thank you.